Good morning, Florida lacrosse fans. It's Thursday. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those of you out there who are either Irish or, I guess, according to them, wish they were. Doesn't matter. We all seem to enjoy celebrating that particular holiday in our own particular ways. Lee Roggenberg, Morning Coffee with Florida Lacrosse News. Welcome to the show. If you haven't already done so, I suggest that you hit that subscribe button and make sure to find 416 people who might be interested in also subscribing. Like the video, please, if you do like what we do here. Trust me, YouTube does pay attention to these things quite a bit. First of all, let's remember our morning ritual. So good. Today, this morning, I will be taping the second show for Varsity Sports Network. In all likelihood, it's going to be about a who's in and who's out based on the recently released power rankings up in Gainesville, which, trust me, has some surprises. As you will see in the show, I'll talk just a little bit, give you a little taste of it this morning. On the boys, actually, let's start on the women's college because the biggest game yesterday in the state, the Florida Gator women hosting top 5 Syracuse, the Orange, and coming away with the 14-10 win over Syracuse. Congratulations, Coach O'Leary and the program. Danielle Pavanelli, 4 goals and 2 assists. Maggie Hall, 3 goals and an assist for the Gators. And I noticed that Lake Island Prep's Olivia Adamson did score a goal for Syracuse. So back to the men's side or the boys' side. McDonough with a 17-8 win over Montverde. McDonough, one of the true national powers out of the MIAA. It was actually, I think, like 11-1 at halftime. So it sounded like the second half was kind of back and forth. Coral Shores 9-3 over St. Brendan. Benjamin travels up to Orlando, comes away with the 11-6 win over Lake Island Prep. Westminster Christian, an important game with a 13-7 win over American Heritage Delray. University School 14-5 over Coral Reef. And St. Edward's holding serve for the state against Episcopal of Dallas, 13-9 win. Actually watched some of that on the NFHS broadcast, which was a wide enough angle that the camera barely had to move, thank God. So a decent, pretty much most of the game was viewable. Pinecrest and Santa Fe were easy winners last night on the boys' side. On the girls' side, in the third game of their 3-day gauntlet down here, Bartram Trail fell to St. Thomas 8-7. I haven't checked. I believe we have a game recap on that, but I haven't checked yet. Palmetto with a 9-7 win over Coral Reef. Episcopal Jacksonville 8-7 over Bishop Moore. University 7-6 over Ransom Everglades. The Vero Lake Highland game was either postponed or canceled. I know that they've been having some issues with playing conditions on some of the fields in the middle of the state, and maybe that played a role in this. And also, American Heritage Delray was hosting one of the national powers, St. Paul's girls out of Maryland. It was 7-7 at the half, but in the second half, St. Paul's pulled away for the 15-10 win. So have to kind of say that this year, maybe we were a little bit down with our out-of-state power matchups. Sometimes that's a matter of timing. But, that's sort of our teams do get beat up. These are early season games for everyone else. They're all physically, basically healthy. We've been beating ourselves up, particularly in a year like this where schedules got tougher. Interest because of the perception of the at-large bids. So not a lot of easy games for people to rest up on with our top programs. Back to the college side, the Embry-Riddle women continue their great year, 19-11 win over Alabama Huntsville. Dr. Phillips grad Zariah Durham, 4 goals in the winning cause. The Lynn women beat Palm Beach Atlantic comfortably, 17-3. I was actually at that game. A client of mine on the investment side, her grandniece is a starting defender for Palm Beach Atlantic. And so I promised I would go out to the game with her. In the game, St. John Paul alum Danielle Farinas, 2 goals and 3 assists for Lynn. South Fork's Anna Lescaris scored a goal for Palm Beach Atlantic. Stetson in the win column, beating Monmouth 17-12. Samantha Polino, 3 goals, 2 assists. The Lynn men beat Flagler 20-12. Joe Michalski and Matthew Ilchuk, 5 goals each for Lynn. Jupiter's Tyler Douglas, a hat trick for Flagler. Colorado Mesa men beat Palm Beach Atlantic 14-10. Bishop Rose, Dylan and Sullia, 2 goals, and Jupiter Christian's Caleb Southard, a goal and an assist in the losing cause for Palm Beach Atlantic. St. Anselm's women beat St. Leo 17-8. Delaney Gilchrist, 2 goals and 1 assist, and Fiona McLaughlin with a hat trick in the loss. Today on the schedule, we have the Jacksonville women are going to be playing Harvard. The other H, as we Hobart grads like to call it. The Flagler women are going to be hosting UVA Wise. On tonight's schedule on the boys' side, Gulliver Prep is hosting Palmetto. Trust me, when you see the taped show we're doing today, Gulliver definitely needs to win this game. Miami Country Day at 5-3 hosts Key West at 3-5. St. John Paul at 4-4 is hosting Western, a game that's a little more significant than maybe people realize, again, when you'll see what we tape. Lake Mary is hosting Episcopal Dallas, team that St. Edward's knocked off last night. Ransom Everglades at 5-6 is hosting Berlin Jesuit 6-0. Ransom with the big win over Gulliver earlier this week, getting another test right off the bat here and fighting again for playoff spots. Buchholz at 5-3 hosts Soul Call at 9-2. On the girls' side, Episcopal School Jacksonville 6-2 is going to be hosting Bishop Moore at 5-2. Vero Beach at 7-1 is maybe making up the game with Lake Highland. We'll see, because it was also listed on Max Preps as of today. Western at 8-3 is hosting Miami Country Day at 5-2. And American Heritage Plantation 6-2 hosts North Broward Prep at 4-2. Now, before I kind of give you a taste of what we're going to be taping today, I just wanted to mention a book that I bought a couple of years ago. Have thumbed through it over times, and it's just an absolutely wonderful book. If you have that lacrosse player and you want them to understand exactly what this sport is all about, particularly on how it was basically evolved from the spiritual beliefs of the Haudenosaunee. Shawnee, get it one of these days. Jimmy Calder and Ron Fletcher wrote the book. David Craig, Arnold Jacobs illustrated it, and the oral tradition by Delmore Jacobs, which, if you're not familiar with him and you want to understand the sport, make sure you look him up. It's this book. It's I bought it, I believe, if I remember correctly, at LaxCon the last time I attended. Jimmy was a year ahead of me at Hobart. Got to know him over the years. Great guy. Long Island, Canadian dual citizenship, 1978 Canadian national team member, world champion. One of the best sticks I saw in the 70s in my years there. There's a story in here that is, I'll just quickly give you the page number if you buy it. 4 Warriors Play a Game. It's on page 29. If you really want to get a good feel for what this sport is about, this little sidebar is the place to go. I'll just show it, see if it'll show a little bit okay. It's over here. Don't know how that's going to come up on the screen in case people want to maybe zoom in on this, just on this box to see what it is. It is definitely worth your time. to read up that story. It's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful book. Jimmy also did a version on the women's game, the history of that. Uh, and I think I've touched on in the past, England basically got into the sport because it was demonstrated to Queen Victoria in the late 1800s. And she immediately brought it back to England and became a big fan of it. And also, you'll see, for instance, that Princess Anne, amongst others over there, was a big time lacrosse player when she was growing up. So, go ahead and, look for the book. And believe me, it's worth it. I love thumbing through it. Okay, now let me get to, again, the screen's a little small, but I'm just going to show you what I kind of did here. It's, basically, this is a region. This is region 4. And maybe I didn't quite see all that. And basically the idea, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at all of the teams that would qualify for the brackets if the season had ended with the March 15th rankings. Plus, we're going to go ahead and tell you the first 4 that were out of each region. And each region obviously has a boys 1A, 2A, and a girls 1A and 2A. And the assumption on the district winners in here was just whoever was the highest seed in each of the 4 brackets. So just to give you a taste of this, in Region 4 down my way, in boys 1A, they have St. Andrews as the number 1 seed, Oxbridge at 2, Berlin the highest ranked in 15 at 3, and Westminster Christian is actually ranked as the highest in the power ranking at number 4. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people who don't think the team's going to hold up. But the fact is that right now they are the highest ranked in 16. At number 5, we'd have Pinecrest, the best at-large team. They would be playing Westminster Christian in the first round. American Heritage Plantation at 6. They would be playing Berlin Jesuit. Gulliver Prep at 7, playing Oxbridge. And St. John Paul at 8, playing St. Andrews. Now, this is where I trust the eyes more than I trust the math. I've seen St. John Paul. I haven't seen American Heritage, but I know that American Heritage's schedule is not all that rigorous. St. John Paul is playing a heck of a schedule, which kind of makes you wonder, so importantly, what are the criteria? Now, first 4 out, gets interesting too. Miami Country Day is the first team out. Now, they're not close. University School, Nova, is the next team, American Heritage Delray. And interestingly enough, Ransom Everglades at 12, even though they hold a victory this week over Gulliver Prep. It's going to be interesting to see what happens the next week on the 22nd when the next set comes out. And we see the effect of Ransom, which is really the 12th seeded or ranked team in this region, having knocked off number 7, see how far a leap they can make. Now, interestingly enough, I also found a couple of other places that do these rankings. Obviously, I went to Max Preps, and I've also gone to Lax Numbers. And so both of them allow me to sort also by a class, and I was able to sort of do some comparisons. I can tell you that there are differences in who would qualify in the 7th and 8th seeds using the Florida High School Athletic Association versus using, for instance, Lax Numbers. And no more so than I've been looking at, for instance, at 1A in Region 1. This is the potential, if this doesn't clear up as the season goes on, to where we might very well find that 1-loss record carried more weight than it should have, and strength of schedule did not. Now we're going to see, hopefully we'll get the questions back this week answered from Gainesville. I don't know what their vacation schedule is, but I can tell you that if you see, for instance, a Ransom continue to, let's say Ransom beats Berlin tonight, but doesn't win their district. And now you've got Ransom not making the playoffs with wins over potentially 2 district winners. That's a problem. That's certainly a problem, and we're going to have to sort of monitor as this goes on how these teams move about. But just that's a little taste, and I want to let you know we're going to be doing this for all 16 regional brackets, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of give you the insight, and we're going to see as we go along what's real and what's not. But I did mention to the people who are going to be filming the take with us that maybe we need to put a little disclaimer up front that, don't shoot the messenger. These are Florida High School Athletic Association results, not Max Preps, not Lax Numbers, not me. And if you have a weak heart, maybe you should not watch. So if you get out to a game tonight, have fun. Hashtag TAFTAB, take a friend to a game. Have fun, grow the game, lay off the refs, enjoy yourself. This is Lee Roggenberg, Florida Lacrosse News, saying so long from the Sunshine State.